This is Flipping Tables Podcast, episode 23. I'm one of your hosts, David Lyons.
And I'm the other host, Mike Edwards.
And we have a special guest today.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, special guest?
Well, hey everybody, I'm Matt, and I'm from Germany. I'm a musician and cosplayer and programmer. And I didn't have a McRib today, although I could have.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that.
I like that it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
So I think
because it's not seasonal.
Nope.
Oh, really? It's year-round?
That's what prompted this.
Okay.
Matt tweeted about he was just like, unlike everywhere else, or what was it? How did it go?
Let me just figure that. I mean, it's like, it's a permanent item on our menu on McDonald's. And so I was asking if anybody wants some immigration papers.
Oh, that's right.
There it is. The McRib is a seasonal item in most countries. As a permanent menu item in Germany, it's quite rare.
It's sad because I can actually imagine people in the southern states of America being like, oh, $1,200 trip to Germany, but I can get a McRib. Seems like fair trade.
Is this like, does Disney not put their films back in the vault in Germany?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
101 Dalmatians available year-round. So I think we just have to give a quick mention to the Apple Enterprise thing. So we just had a huge, and it's funny that we're recording early this week.
Yeah.
But we just had a huge discussion about Microsoft, Apple, and Google, and how Apple doesn't really do enterprise, and it's really not part of their culture. And then, Mike, what happened?
Then, like, immediately after we published the episode, there's this giant-ass partnership announced between IBM and Apple. And they're just like,
strictly for enterprise
stuff.
stuff.
They're like, we have no overlap. We're not competing with each other. This is pure synergy, if you're ever allowed to use the word.
Yeah, if it wasn't on Apple.com, I don't think I would have believed it. It's like, no, Apple and IBM teaming up. And then what did every single person who is involved in technology tweet? It's the picture of Steve Jobs standing in front of the IBM building, flicking off the IBM logo.
Did you see
that was foreshadowing.
It was.
Did you see the Photoshop of Tim Cook showing like a peace
sign? Yeah, the thing that bums me out about this is, like, Apple makes great devices, and a lot of organizations would probably benefit from using Apple hardware over, like, Windows XP hardware like they're probably using now. But the thing that bums me out is now this is going to spur a huge new round of, like, this isn't Steve Jobs' Apple. Steve Jobs never would have allowed this. Steve Jobs is dead and Tim Cook is ruining Apple. Like, that's... I felt like we were past that. Like, WWDC went so well, and I really thought people were done, but I was wrong. So wrong.
Yeah, the invincible and then doomed hyperbole pendulum never levels out to, like, maybe they're just okay for now.
Yeah. No, it's never like, yeah, they're good. They're a successful company. People like their products. It's great. It's just, it's always like rulers of the world or bringers of the apocalypse. It's a perpetual motion machine. If we could somehow power homes on Apple hype, doom and gloom, then
analyst blog spam.
Yeah, that would bring world peace. So, but yeah, that's weird. We have a link in the show notes for anyone who refuses to believe this actually happened, but it actually happened.
It'll be such old news by the time we publish this.
Yeah, maybe. But Apple IBM team up. Who's not interested in that? It's like, it sounds like a Bizarro universe crossed into ours temporarily. So I think Matt, the GEMA YouTube videos. I know.
What is your life like in Germany?
Yeah, I know they have weird
isolated
blocking rules. so lonely. So tell me, what kind of stuff do they block over there?
Well, actually, anything that contains music, or as I found out, that could contain music.
Yeah, scroll down in the doc.
I was trying to watch a video that someone posted on Reddit of a dungeon run in Final Fantasy XIV, which we have never played, of course. And
we're not addicted to it.
So the title was like, yeah, this is some unedited footage. So, I mean, what could go wrong? And I click on it, and you get this message of, unfortunately, this video is not available in your country because it could contain music from UMG.
It actually said could.
Yes.
It's just like, we're not sure that you have child porn in your house, but we're going to come and smash your computer and send you to jail anyway. Just, in case.
And the thing is, you know for a fact that there wasn't any music in there, unless it's the soundtrack from Final Fantasy, I guess. But it's funny because last week you were talking about how Google can OCR everything in your pictures and all that, but apparently they can't find out the difference between music and not music.
Yeah, I guess that the music thumbprinting that services are always talking about, that's not really that advanced.
Yeah.
So
there is, and this is an audio format, therefore it could contain music, so you're not allowed to listen to anything ever.
There will be no Germany is a completely silent country.
Yeah.
So
No music allowed.
Is this part of like the crazy copyright laws over there, where it's like everyone is super paranoid about infringing?
Yeah, it's got to do with with the GEMA or GEMA. Well, we call it GEMA. Let's just call it like that. It's a collecting society, so it's you just register your songs with them, and whenever it's gonna be played in the public or at a concert. So if I, with my band, were to cover a song that's being published through the GEMA, we would actually have to pay them money. And the money, or
just to perform it, not to try to
just
sell
to perform
anything.
it.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
And I mean, the biggest fuck you to any artist is that even if you don't cover or play anything from the GEMA, you still need to register your event with them and give them a playlist of the whole gig. So you have to actually prove to them that you're not gonna play any music that's registered with them.
So this is guilty until proven innocent.
Yes, and they have every right to do that.
Oh,
That's so weird. So what things aren't terrible over there?
Well, we have the McRib.
there is that.
There is the McRib. So I'm noticing too, it says here you also can't live stream any YouTube, or is it just really different?
No, you actually can't anymore. It used to work. I mean, remember Barack Obama's inauguration or something, I could watch that. But when I noticed that the first time and when I took that screenshot, I was trying to watch, I think, the live stream from Swedish Mealtime, and it just didn't work. And so I did a quick Googling, and everything that comes, all that comes out on Google is like a short page on the YouTube help docs that says, well, it's not available in Germany. Period. That's it. So I did a bit of Googling, and I found out that it actually has to do with some, old law, you could say, on our books, which still holds up today because Germany hasn't arrived in the 21st century, at least at Austin. And it's got to do with the fact that anything that streams video through the internet where more than 500 people are watching, it's considered a pirate TV station under the law. The equivalent of a TV pirate station.
If you're successful, you're stealing.
Yeah, pretty much. So I assume that means like you couldn't watch Google I/O since they streamed that on YouTube, right?
Now that you say it, I think that worked. I think
they definitely had music.
It definitely had music, and it was a live stream.
I think it has to do with the fact that if the audience you're streaming to is in Germany, like the target audience is in Germany, I think it said something like this in the article, which is only in German. I'm sorry. And so it has got to do something with that, with who the target audience is. And
so there's this interpretation layer of
yeah. This I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it sounds like there's the letter of the law is being enforced and absolutely not the spirit of the law, because you said it's like an outdated, so clearly when people wrote this, they were not thinking like one day there will be YouTube streaming and people will record themselves playing video games. Like I really doubt when they wrote this in probably like the 70s or 80s that they were like, that's what we're really after, is those YouTubers.
And the thing is that also this law doesn't apply to something like Twitch, say, because Google or YouTube, Google, because they have a subsidiary in Germany, so that's why the law applies to them. So Twitch is all right, although it kind of serves the same purpose in any kind of way.
Yeah, so that's why I can watch you stream Hotline Miami. Or no, in the US I can stream anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we can stream anything until it's Nintendo or Disney or The Simpsons. Yeah, pretty much else though. We're good.
There is no way to find those things on the internet.
Well, you can't find them easily on YouTube. It's really frustrating because I know The Simpsons entirely too well from years of wasted life, but it's really frustrating when I'm like, someone says something and I'm like, oh, there's this perfect line from The Simpsons. I want to send them like a 3-second clip. And I spent about a year doing that until I realized, like, wait a minute, I never find these clips. Or when I do, it's taken with a potato on a TV through like a Best Buy window. So it's like, Fox is and it's not their other stuff. There's lots of Fox shows that are on YouTube and on Live Leak and whatever, but for some reason The Simpsons, maybe it's Matt Groening, maybe he's just crazy. Is his product not popular enough? Are those little clips really gonna take money?
Is his money bin not deep enough to swim through?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to he goes to Comic-Con sometimes. I have to be like, why can't I find clips on YouTube?
I'll have to find that one from that I showed you. It was bad. The Simpsons clip that was just through a fishbowl from another galaxy.
Yeah. No, it would have been an amazing recording in like 1918. It's like, wow, look at how crisp it
there's
is.
that San Francisco trolley video. And then that famous 3D train footage, and then this.
It's the horse galloping. It's actually individual Polaroid pictures of The Simpsons then stitched together. Yeah,
and it probably still said in the description, no copyright intended. And
copyright intended.
And copyright miswritten WRIT.
I love that on YouTube. Just, I don't own this. Well, no shit, dude.
Well, I've noticed people only do that for content that is well known not to be theirs. Like no one ever films like a street performer and says like no copyright intended. They film like X-Men with a shoulder camera. They're like, I didn't create the X-Men. It's like, thank you for clearing that up.
I've never worked at Marvel.
I am, in fact, not Stan Lee. Just here's a picture of me not being Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah, you gotta write copyright.
Yeah.
W-R-I-T.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good write from a YouTube video.
Yeah, no,
it's like I'm lactose intolerant.
I do lactose, and I am intolerant. So I think, Mike, you mentioned, or what you mentioned in here about virtual borders. Tell me about virtual borders.
Well, I think that's just this GEMA stuff is relating to that. Just having arbitrary, like, you are in a different geographical location, so network doesn't work suddenly.
But so then if we're going to sweepingly say that they're dumb, which they're dumb, you're right. But we have to go devil's advocate. Is there somewhere where they do apply?
Nope.
Well, that's all that we have time for. So
why? Well, I mean, do you have an idea for that?
I'm grasping at straws, to be fair. But so in some countries, they have very different laws about drug purchasing over the internet than we do here in the States. That's all I got.
Yeah.
So I could see blocking that kind of stuff.
And that's something we very specifically enabled in the U.S., that states can't prevent commerce from other states. Well, I don't know. The drug example may not.
Well, I mean from other countries.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying inside the U.S., if you think of us as 50 little countries,
right,
we've made sure that interstate commerce is mostly protected.
Yes. Which actually, so Matt, that's something I want to ask you about. Do you happen to be anywhere near the border of Germany?
It's a 2-hour drive to the western border.
Okay, so you could literally, if you wanted to, drive 2 hours
like
across the border,
trip.
yeah, and spend your afternoon just streaming YouTube like nobody's business.
Yeah, I could drive to the Netherlands. I could stream all day. I could smoke marijuana there, which I can't hear.
That's something. Unfortunately, I've never been fortunate enough to travel to Europe, but I know in America, it has always really confused me that like in New England, for example, the states are pretty tightly packed. You have like New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, Massachusetts, all just kind of like shoved up each other's butts. And they have different laws about really obnoxious things like when you can get a driver's license. So it's like I'm 17 in New Jersey, for example, and I can only have a learner's permit, but I can walk across the street to New York and get a learner's permit at 15. And it just seems like really silly that we still, especially
like
now
that should be federalized. Like that should just be the whole nation has one rule.
Well, and it seems like in the EU, you would think some of these internet-y kind of laws that don't really have physical boundaries might also be federalized isn't the word.
Well, is
EU-anized.
It's one of the problem these rights organizations that every country has just because 20th century happened.
Yes.
That everyone wants their cut. So when Google or Apple want to sell music, it's like, well, you got to negotiate with every single one of us.
Yeah. Yep.
And pay all of us.
Well, so this organization, how did you say, the GEMA, how do you pronounce it? Is it GEMA? So if you're going to do a performance, do you pay them per performance or do you pay them annually? Like, are you registered like the Screen Actors Guild?
You pay them per event, or if you have a club or something, you can pay them, I guess, annually, depending on the size of the venue, the amount of people that fit in there, the kind of music that is played. If it's like if it's an orchestra, it's way more expensive than if it's just playback music or something.
So it's just really metering creativity.
And they tried to change something about this in the recent years, and it only got worse. Like clubs that have to pay 1,000% of what they used to pay to them, closing up, and so it's all gone apeshit.
Do they send little moles around to police it, or
they actually do that.
Places?
If you're going to make your own event, you gotta have to be quite paranoid. I remember. A few months ago, we played a gig, or we made our own gig with Salt the Skies, with one of my bands, and we actually made a point to, before the gig and after the gig, only play music through the PA that wasn't registered with the GEMA, and we actually wrote emails to each and every single artist. And got a lot of responses, so everything went well, and we got a list. So in case someone were to come there, we actually could have handed them a list, and everything would be okay. And
it was all genetic onions, right?
yeah, most of it,
of course.
And well, that's the way you have to do it. In fact, so there's no way around it.
Well, I remember you sent me like a very official sounding letter requesting.
Yeah, we had to be very official about this, very clear that you are the owner of the music and you give us permission to play it, and that you actually confirm that you're not registered at the GEMA or anything like that. Because there are other societies, but they don't have the same power.
I'm always flabbergasted by this because I heard from an old colleague of mine something like the easiest way to make money is to become a governing body for someone who's actually doing work. And it's so, Mike and I both working in academia, whenever I talk to someone who is terrified of accreditation, like, we have to do we have to do triple backflips while opening a can of Campbell's soup because that's what the accreditation board wants. All I can think is like, those people must be down there laughing themselves
just
stupid.
Like, dance monkey.
Yeah, well, they roll around in their piles of money. And it's like, I know these organizations probably, and I feel like I'm being generous here, they probably start out with a very high-minded goal. For music, they're like, well, we want to make sure that people aren't stealing each other's music, and we want to protect the artists so that they're not afraid to create stuff. But that lasts like a week. And then they turn into like these evil puppet masters. They're like, oh, you want to take a deep breath? Well, that guy has copyright on taking deep breaths while singing, so you got to pay him. It's like, but there's prior art for deep breathing. I just don't.
There is a little bit of this in the U.S. It's not as bad, I don't think. But
no, we definitely have it.
Yeah, we have rights organizations that go around and screw with everyone. RIAA, ASCAP.
We have something here that I assume is a worldwide problem, but every once in a while I will queue up a YouTube video on my phone and it says not available on mobile. I'm like, why not?
It's such an arbitrary distinction.
Yeah.
Oh, is your screen not 12 inches?
Yeah.
I guess this suddenly doesn't work.
It's like I can stream the data. I have a screen. I can hear sound. What other requirements are there?
Yeah, why is this suddenly illegal?
Yeah, and that's the message is so terse. It just is not available on mobile. So is it a law? Is it a priority of the person who made the video?
And it can't be the ad platform stuff because they fixed that with YouTube.
Oh, yes.
I'm trying to find out right now because if I remember correctly, you can set it as the uploader yourself. And the thing is, it's an option, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, on YouTube you can prevent.
That says, I think I found it here. No, it's not allow embedding, but it's something like you can allow it on mobile and TVs or not mobile and not TV. So it's like one check mark for both of these options. I think that's where the problem stems from.
I would love to know why they even provide that option. I mean, who cares?
There must be some of the high-profile YouTube clients like Vivo or someone. Except their crap works.
Yeah, it was a high-profile client. That's almost definitely it. Some loudmouth,
Viacom,
said no, we want our stuff to only be online, and this was probably before they fixed mobile ads. And now it's there. It's set in stone. It's too late.
Yeah,
it's ruined for everybody.
I don't want to watch your ads, but I will watch your ads.
Yeah.
I got that way with like just certain TV shows. Like it was like The Mentalist. It's like not a great show of procedural crime, but there was like a period where like I just wanted to watch it. I liked the main actor. I was like, yeah, I'll just stream it. Not available anywhere. I can't even buy it on iTunes. There's no way except sitting my butt down at exactly when it broadcasts. Or waiting until the DVDs come out. Like, I'm going to buy those.
So are you familiar with the Oatmeal, Matt? The comedian and comic artist?
Yep.
So he did a thing a while back about Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I can't stream it. I can't buy it anywhere digitally. The DVD doesn't come out until long after the season's over. And so he ultimately pirated it. Or at least his cartoon version pirated it. And the valid argument that I heard back is the companies are not required by any law or social pressure to make things available to you at a time and in a format of your liking. So if they are willing to have a stupid business model that is stupid and makes their product unavailable, that's their prerogative. It's like, yeah, but that's stupid. Like, why are we saying like, well, if they want to totally collapse and be stupid, they should. It's like, don't we want to like encourage them to not do that? To maybe make their stuff available where people will throw money at them by the cartoon's burlap sack load. So I don't know. I mean, I get cerebrally, I get the argument that it's like, well, if they want to be
their stuff.
Yeah, if they want to fail, then it's up to them to fail. But then there's the other part of me that's like, yeah, but they won't fail. People will pirate it and then they'll buy the DVDs, and in their minds that will justify their archaic business model. And that's what frustrates me is I know that there's a bunch of executives sitting around a board table and they're like, well, our DVD sales were phenomenal, so clearly that still works. And it's like, no, it's because there's no other way. Yeah. If you gave us options, you would see your DVD sales tank.
Yeah.
Ugh. And for this very reason, I have only seen the first season of Game of Thrones.
I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, we got it from the library. They had the first, it was like a clear plastic.
Those things are going to die.
Oh. Sorry, librarians.
So, maybe enough on internet borders?
I think so.
There's some other hyperbole. So, I'm just slow for not noticing this a lot sooner, but Wired and hyperbolic headlines, like everything they do has this crazy, like their articles are fine.
Yeah,
like,
but they've gone full BuzzFeed headline.
Yeah, they have good journal. Like most of the time, their articles are pretty level-headed, like not crazy, have caveats, have disclaimers. But then they write these headlines like Google's refined Roboto font anticipates the future. Or the worst one that we saw recently is why Apple's Swift language will instantly remake computer programming.
That one's my favorite. Because computer programming is a really broad and pretty old concept. So to such a reductive. I mean, that it's like. It's awful.
Yeah.
But then the article itself is like really measured and well reasoned, and they back up why they feel.
And they mention everyone else doing similar stuff, or
yeah, they're like these old ways are finally really starting to die out, and they stuck with Objective-C for so long, and the fact that they did this shows that even the people who are really deeply entrenched in tradition have come around to the new way, and it's like it's so well measured. But the article title is just like clickbait.
instantly remake.
Instantly solve everything ever. Yeah, I don't. Wired, stop it. Wired, no. Stop. You're better than this. Maybe that in their minds, this is the compromise. Is like, we'll get them in. It's like, come for the coffee, stay for the pie. Like, it's unlimited coffee refills if you come in, but really you're going to stay because we'll sell you this delicious slice of apple pie. So you come in for the terrible clickbaity headline, and then you end up actually reading the whole article.
So what was that Twitter account that just like tweets the answers to the stupid headlines?
It's called Saved You a Click. Yeah, I'll throw a link to that in the show notes. Yes, there's a Twitter account called Saved You a Click, which does exactly what it sounds like, where all they do is retweet the terrible link baity title and the one takeaway you actually care about. Like the one that I just saw either this morning or last night was the article title was like, how to get HBO without cable. And then they said they all actually involve cable, but some of them are cheap. It's like, so the article title isn't just link baity, it's outright false.
Yeah.
I mean, even worse than what we see in newspapers a lot here is the question style. Like Fox News is big on that. Like, is Obama going to eat your children? The answer is no.
Pro and con. Let's get two equal opposite viewpoints to debate this as a legitimate controversy.
Yeah, the answer is
and make
always
them scream
no.
at each other.
Yeah.
Do you see this in Germany, Matt? Like, I would think because people are so terrified of like libel and stuff that they would be afraid to do are German citizens about to kidnap your family in the night? ? Like, I would think you wouldn't see a lot of that.
Actually, you do see that.
Crap.
You see that from the Bild Zeitung, which is kind of the Fox News or Sun of Germany, and they're full of rubbish headlines that are kind of the same hyperbole that we can see here, and it's just like for some time there was a series of articles which were actually on the front page about how Hitler was kind of connected to UFOs and aliens, and they were fucking honest with that shit. I think they used to be or still are the most highest selling newspaper. I don't even want to call it a newspaper, it's more like a tabloid, but it's very well known.
So have you guys heard of Betteridge's law of headlines? It's sort of like Poe's law, but it's different, or Godwin's law. It's basically if a headline is asking a question, the answer is no.
Yes. Yeah, I have heard. Yeah, because otherwise you wouldn't do that. And the only kinds of publications that do small, fair and balanced things would not phrase their headline that way.
Yeah.
It would say like, we wanted to see if such and such would happen, and here are our results. They wouldn't do it in like a grabby, sneaky way.
Yeah.
We have established you have the McRib. And I'm trying to find additional things that make
no McRib intended.
Yeah, that make us seem terrible in Germany seem like a wonderful paradise, but really it just seems like you've got copyright nightmare land over there. And all the terrible.
And do you
headlines.
want immigration forms for the U.S.?
So actually, I'm surprised to hear you say that you had a bunch of articles about Hitler. Because we tend to pretend like all the bad things we've ever done never happened.
Yeah, the
in
U.S.
the United
is
States.
a master at that.
Yeah, we don't really talk about the Civil War. We never talk about the internment camps we had. That's strictly for Europeans. They did that. We would never do that, even though we totally did more than once. And but it's like they just never come
Trail
up.
of Tears or
Yeah, none of that. Yeah, so I'm surprised that you would have like front page articles, even though they sound kind of ridiculous, aliens and all.
Yeah, I mean they're just to sell papers, but I mean there are enough people who believe that shit. So
Are these basically the National Enquirer equivalent, or are they given more prominence in Germany? Like like giant fat man baby gives birth to reptiles. Like, is it
I
basically?
think
that?
I've seen that headline now. Something that sounds like it.
But
No,
these are serious papers?
No. The thing
my
is,
God.
a lot of people, if you ask them if you can see them read the Bild Zeitung, they just say, yeah, I read it for the sports part of it. but really, it's like you're watching Honey Boo Boo and just watching it for the train wreck. And then from time to time, you find some people who actually believe the stuff that's in there.
Is that I read Playboy for the articles?
So this is, I just realized I'm getting dangerously close to being like, oh, you're from another country. I have to bombard you with how weird your country is questions.
Well, it is weird to be honest.
But if I do go too far down that rabbit hole, please just say something like, shut up, stupid American. Because
It's okay.
I don't want to turn into that guy. I hate that guy.
That's also a perennial like Ask Reddit thing. Is like, what's something about your country that people never stop asking? Or
I am a German.
Yeah.
Ask me anything.
I think that might have to be a show title.
I'm a German.
Ask me anything.
We've got a lot of good ones.
We do. Sometimes we completely forget to think of show titles, and then other times like this, we end up spending 10 minutes after the show with this like deep debate on which one's truly the best
Oh my
one.
God, which one are we gonna take this time?
This is gonna mean everything to our audience.
I'm gonna queue up random org.
Oh, there you go.
We're gonna have to use that.
So, Mike, you put in here about the Roboto font. Well, I mean, you want to talk about hyperbolic headlines.
Yeah, it was the
But-
real reason.
Let's
was
talk
the real
about the
reason.
article itself.
Well, I want to ask you guys about, because I've seen some of your stuff, Matt, like some of the cosplay stuff you build. So, I mean, you're obviously like a design-centered, attention to detail. I've seen Mike pour over moving an image back and forth by a pixel. And to be fair, his products are always amazing. So, like, I'm not faulting either of you for the time you put in. But I saw the comparison between old Roboto and new Roboto, and it's really minor.
The biggest noticeable one is instead of square, the circle dots like above eyes and
the foot of the R.
Yeah.
Leg, I don't know what to call it.
So here's what
The
I've never
serif.
gotten. Here's what I've never gotten about fonts is the terms that people use to describe fonts when they're pairing them. Like, oh, you can use a serious font and like a playful font. I'm like, oh, I was with you at serious. Like Times New Roman is like a pretty standard, serious, like business newspaper kind of font. But then when people talk about like playful, and this one's energetic, and this one's kind of got like a comic tone, but it's like a dark comedy. I'm like, how do you see that?
Well,
you thi-
obviously they mean papyrus.
Do you think it's like people tasting wine?
Yes.
something?
I mean, that's how it feels. I'm like, it's
Ooh,
just
this one
like,
has a woody texture.
yeah,
but
I
the
don't.
finish is strong.
And the reason I don't immediately write them off as being insane is because when fonts are paired well, I don't notice it because they're paired well. When fonts are paired poorly, I'm like, ugh. But that's as far as I've gotten into like my font pairing mastery. So I know that
You know when
differences
it's
exist.
a flaming wreck.
Yes. It's like I recognize the difference between a car and a car that's on fire, but I don't recognize the difference between a Buick and a Lamborghini. Like I'm like colorblind to font quality. It's terrible. Like, do you actually see this stuff, either of you?
I think I've just over time seen more of it. It's
Okay.
not like this, I have this magic power or something. It's just the more you look at them, the more you use them, you just start to notice things and you're like, ooh, I don't like that.
Ooh, it doesn't feel right. Matt, how do you feel about this?
Well, I remember the first time I really delved into this topic was when I designed our first cover for our first album, and I kind of got stuck on Futura, which
good
another
font.
band
The
Battles
Wes
used,
Anderson
and
font.
Yes.
I love that font, and if you kind of start using one font, you start to see it everywhere. And funny thing is, in Germany, our railroad systems, all the signs are in Futura or in the old version of Futura. So I see it every day, and so I started getting like now Futura is my favorite, so I kind of try to use it everywhere, but it doesn't really work well for longer text. So when I saw this Roboto, the new Roboto, like the old Roboto, kind of started to think like, yeah, I'm gonna use that.
But does it pair well? If your headers are in Futura, will it
does
pair
it pair
well?
well with an IPA or a porter? Should you order the steak?
I've always heard that you should pair a serif font with a non sans serif font.
And
yeah,
so
like the same
delineation.
family or similar.
Yeah, but the problem is I really don't like serifs at all. It's just like major keys. I don't like them. So I always just use sans serifs everywhere. And
major keys feel kind of important to write off entirely.
Major chords can exist, just not
major
chords. Just not in a major key. Okay,
no,
that's fair. See, I cannot. We cannot get too
that
deep
came up in
into music because I will be
Sudobook
overrun so fast.
In the Sudobook episode Matt was in, he talked about his friend that wrote a song with only minor chords.
Oh, did it just sound like horror movie music?
Even worse than that, depressing horror music.
It was like an emo horror movie, like somebody's college art project for their film undergrad.
There is something that just sounds like open mic night about like only minor chords. Like you didn't really figure out how music works. You're just playing sad chords that don't really go together.
Yeah, and I feel bad for. There was a coffee house near where I used to live that had like an open mic night like 3 nights a week, and it was close enough to walk, so we would go over there sometimes. And it was in that place that I realized that there is a difference. Not everybody who plays music is trying to make it big. Some people like the coffee house scene. They just like playing music. They don't want to go on tour. They don't want to have to put out a new album every year.
It's not a business.
Yeah, exactly. They just enjoy playing music. And I felt bad when I realized, like, oh, I've always put everyone into the never gonna make it and about to make it bin. And it came to me because I went up to this one guitar player. He played an acoustic guitar and did like a little bit of singing, and he was amazing, like really technically amazing. The songs he played were beautiful. I think they were originals, but I'm not positive. But like everything was great. And I went up to him and I was like, wow, so you're gonna be famous like tomorrow, right? Because I mean, like the second the right person hears you, and he's like, he's like, the second this becomes a job, I will smash my guitar and stop forever. And I was like, oh, I'm a closed-minded idiot. Right? So I mean, like, because I know, like, you and I have talked about this, Mike. Like, you're like, well, if people throw money at me, that's cool, but I'm not gonna like live out of a van and sell all my worldly goods just to try and become a famous musician. So it's Matt. You have more than one band, it sounds like.
Yeah, I've got 2 bands.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, so why aren't you famous yet?
I don't know. I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I used the wrong fonts.
You're pairing too many sans serifs and sans serifs. You gotta get some serifs in there.
Yeah. Probably going to do that on our next album. I'm going to record it just to use a new font so I can establish the new brand.
It'll be Georgia, let's be honest.
Georgia's a good font. But does it pair well with a good white wine?
Well, I've started using Tahoma more.
Tahoma.
Ooh. Isn't that one of the defaults in Office?
Yeah, it's not Calibri, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole UI, I think the default font in that is Tahoma and like 11.
That just speaks to your deep love of Microsoft.
Ooh, yeah. I have another fun "you're a foreigner" question. So, you're not just yourself, but the general culture in Germany. Like,
speak for all of Germany.
Yeah, speak for all Germans.
Oh, right.
So, are you big pro open source over there, or are you more like enterprise, all the things?
I think it's a mixed bag. There's a big open source culture over here, of course. I mean, we've got the Chaos Computer Club, and so of course companies are going to work with what they can use best. So I mean, in my company we use Windows everywhere. We use Office, and I think they're in talks right now about getting us iPhones, which kind of doesn't really fit in there somewhere.
Yeah, that is not an end-to-end integrated solution, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're like, the iPhone does what we want you to do on your phone well, so that's the phone we're going to give you. I'm assuming that they put thought into it, not just that they're like, ooh, shiny.
Oh, we've got money to throw around. Let's
What-
get everyone an
let's
iPad.
buy everyone
Get
an
an
iPad.
The one-to-one. Oh. So what do you use? Are you an iPhone guy, Android guy? Are you
I'm
a
an
Symbian guy?
No, I'm an Android guy. I got the Nexus 4 when it was reduced in price
Oh yeah,
last year.
because I tweeted that out.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you're a smart guy. Good.
You're a smart man. You bought Android.
Take that, Apple people.
Oh,
and
burn.
apart from that, on desktop, I've always been using Windows. I never got into Linux because of the software I need to use.
Because desktop
That's-
Linux has always been.
Yeah, every year
Yeah.
is the year of the Linux desktop. It's Little Orphan Annie thinking tomorrow she's going to get adopted. Like it's next year is always the year of the Linux desktop. So will you PC game, don't you, Matt?
Yes, of
Master
course.
race all the way.
Yeah, PC Master Race. Everything on high definition with the best settings.
Your 4K screen. Do you have one of those crazy recliner chairs where your monitor is like up above you?
Oh, I wish I had.
I've always been curious about those, but it seems so awkward to type up, like to have my keyboard like up in above me.
Just like, is there like a good pop culture reference for that? I think I'm picturing the same thing.
Well, it's like every sci-fi movie in the 70s and 80s had like one of those crazy egg pods.
Yeah.
Where like the keyboard like slid out.
You're in
but it
like
was-
a cockpit
Yeah,
instead
it's
of.
really weird. I mean, and maybe they're super comfortable and awesome, and the reason nobody has them is because they're dumb looking and expensive. So it's like the Google Glass of chairs. Like
Google Glass of chairs.
Yeah, useful but stupid looking and expensive. I mean, I love my Google Glass. It is stupid looking and expensive. Like, there's just no. What am I gonna lie about it? Like,
Now, actually, what do you use it for?
so my primary thing, I wish I could say I had like some intelligent way that it made everyone's life way better, but honestly, the best thing. Okay. So that picture has to go on the show notes. I love that it's a CRT. That's the
It's the
best.
saddest looking bed I've seen in a long time.
So for our audio listeners, you have to go to the show notes, if for nothing else than to find this homemade crazy chair computer bed contraption. Oh my god. This looks like something out of like a nightmare. Like when they kidnapped Tony Stark and they wanted him to build, and like this is the equipment they gave him. He had like his super lab, and then they give him a CRT.
Windows 95.
And I love how like the Linksys router is just lying down there.
Just sitting there on the floor.
Like he's lucky he had a long enough cable, or else it would be hanging.
Yeah.
Be a
Like everything
telephone
else in
line.
the picture.
Oh my god! And there's just a malevolent-looking cat in the middle of the bed.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the cat.
'Cause it kind of blends in, but it's got cat laser eyes from the Flash.
And
Ugh.
of course, the natural extended keyboard.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, the Microsoft. You gotta be comfortable, Mike, when you're laying in your stolen hospital bed with no sheets and staring at your. Oh my god, this is like so terrifying.
So whoever's listening, you have to have opened the image, or else the past minute has been useless to you.
And you just know whoever used this computer was handcuffed to that bed. No one got into this by choice.
For show notes, head to flippingtablespodcast.com/023.
Whew. Okay.
Okay, back to
Yes.
glass.
Yeah. So my one legitimate use, and don't get me wrong, I've gotten some like interesting things out of it. Like I took a long bike ride recently, and I took some pictures while I was riding, so that was cool. But the main like really beneficial thing I've done is I have a 10-month-old daughter, and she's more than old enough to recognize when I am holding a camera between her and myself. So she'll stop doing whatever she's doing because she's like, oh,
What is that?
there's a thing. Yeah, and she reaches out for it. But with glass, I can just be playing with her and then either use the voice command or reach up, and there's a dedicated shutter button. And I can just press the shutter and snap like a super fast picture of her like while we're interacting. So I've gotten a couple of like amazing pictures where it looks like she's looking at me, right? Like it's an amazing like fourth wall breaking, like she's staring right into the camera. Like, would I say that those pictures are all worth $1,500? Probably not. But I didn't pay for it, so to me, they're all priceless.
Oh man.
But I mean, it's Yeah, I have lots of great pictures of my daughter that we took with regular cameras. So
But
that's
it does
fine.
seem like what tends to happen with baby pictures is they're looking above the camera.
Yeah, because they're looking up. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas with these, it's like she's staring right at me. It's awesome. And I know like Susan's gotten in the habit of taking pictures from like right below her face. I don't know if she even realizes she's doing it, but like she'll hold her phone right below
Yeah.
her face so that the baby's looking almost right at the shutter. Like it's
Yeah.
really, really close. And they're great pictures, but she either naturally just came to that conclusion or she, had to figure out the best way to do it.
They need to sell a camera that looks like a face.
Well, I mean, like
That'd just be terrifying.
there's those old like JCPenney photo studio and like Kmart photo studio from like the 90s and 80s when everybody went to get family portraits where the guy always had like a bunny puppet.
Yeah.
There's like a little ducky like taped to the top of the camera really awkwardly, and he's like, look at the ducky, look, oh honey, look up here at the ducky. So then everybody's looking at the camera, but the kid is like staring like when is that rabbit puppet gonna do something interesting? Just waving it. Yeah, basically child photography is terrible. And I'm sure in 10 years I will look back and be like, oh, thank God I took these pictures with Google Glass because they're phenomenal. But I wouldn't, unless you have a ton of disposable income and a kid that you can't get a good picture of, I don't think I could recommend it.
Those are the criteria.
Yeah, just for that.
I just think it's funny, like, the first time they announced Google Glass and showed a tech demo of it, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I want that. I don't care how much how I got to save up for this. And the more I see of it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to really use that all day. I think a smartwatch would be more useful for me right now.
Yeah.
And on the other end, you've got something like Chromecast, which like $30. I just bought it out of whim. And I use this every day.
Oh, yeah.
I was
love
like,
mine.
yeah, I'm just going to get this. I'm probably going to use it once a week or so. And it's kind of gotten really useful. And it actually does have Crunchyroll. So this is there's no virtual border there.
Streaming service.
I can actually stream anime there without them
Freaking out.
blocking me from it. At least not yet. Maybe they just haven't noticed yet.
Yeah. Well, now they're on to you because they're going to listen to this. And be like, we're coming for you, Matt. So yeah, I'm with you on the usefulness of Glass. Because it is actually, like it's nice to just have the little clock up there, and like if I'm riding my bike and I get a text message, I don't have to even look away from where I'm riding because it just like pops onto the screen. And even though I'm not a particularly style conscious person, I mean, I don't want to go outside looking like a hobo, but I am very, very aware when I'm wearing glass that I am wearing glass. Oh, it does. One other thing it has that I haven't made a lot of use of is you can plug an earbud into it, and then the microphone's actually pretty good because it's a bone conducting mic. So you can use it as like a Bluetooth headset for calls, which I've done a couple of times, and it's not bad. But for that to really be useful, you have to be wearing glass and have the earbud in, which if you're like listening to music or something through it, that kills the battery even faster, and the battery already does not last very long.
The feature we all want for everything. Just give me battery life.
Yes. And maybe don't let it get so hot that it scalds the side of my face.
Maybe that.
Maybe. I don't know how they're going to fix
And maybe
physics.
way less.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So
is,
more battery, but way less.
Yes. Some more efficient batteries. A
Or
thinner...
at least make them changeable.
Yeah, I'm sure that the battery in there is so tightly... Because the thing is tiny.
Yeah.
It doesn't look clunky. The only reason it's immediately obvious that you're wearing glass is because it comes out in front of your face. The sidearm is actually not much bigger than the glasses Mike is wearing right now, which is a way of saying your glasses are huge.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, so just I want to get an Android Wear watch. Are you gonna get one? Are you waiting for the Moto 360? That's what I am doing.
And maybe I'm gonna get one for Christmas. It's on my list. Probably gonna get it then. But which one was the circular one?
Yeah, it's the 360.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get that.
No?
Nah.
You settling
like-
for the guac?
Yep.
You
I like rectangular things. I don't
Germans,
like
corners.
squares.
Very structured. It had to happen once. I've gone like 45 minutes without making a single joke like that. That's
Well, at least your
excellent-
German accent is better than mine.
Oh, if I had put just 2 or 3 more words in that sentence, it would have totally collapsed.
If Matt, you're a foreigner question, since those are allowed now apparently.
Yeah.
I set the
If
trend.
you're joking with your friends and someone adopts an American accent, what's the go-to style? Is it like
That's
Southern
an
drawl?
excellent "you're a foreigner" question.
I don't know if that ever happened yet. I mean,
We're not worth talking about.
well,
Isn't
me and my
the
friends-
rest of the world just center on America? How come?
Nah, not really. We like Japan more and the UK. No, seriously, when we're joking around, we mostly when we do it in English, it's in a British accent because it's Monty Python and all
British.
that. But British way better. So
No, that's fair. I think when most Americans want to sound like an intelligent English speaker, they probably go not to a good American English, but to a good British.
Yeah, it's
just don't go all Oxford. You never go all Oxford.
never
No.
go full Oxford. Well, it does seem like the go-to when my brother's wife grew up watching Friends. That's how she learned English. She's from France, but there is sort of a tendency to be like,
Yeah.
Like, the Southern drawl is like the most easy to lampoon, I guess.
I know at least in England, that's their view of American English.
And
the
it's kind of
Southern.
insidious because that's a dialect. It's not an intelligence marker. There are brilliant people that have a Southern drawl.
Yes.
And yet there's a tendency to be like, I'm an idiot.
Yep.
And it's like, that's actually kind of really unfair.
Well, and the opposite is true for like a posh English accent is like,
can still be a moron.
You're British, you must be brilliant. And it's like, no, you're British, you just speak English. Like you could be brilliant or a total idiot. Like they're unrelated. I mean,
And
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, somehow to get this kind of back on topic, Google can understand each and every accent you throw it. It's like with Google Voice, Voice is the phone service, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Well,
never
it's-
got that in Europe.
I don't know
But,
what they call their transcription service. I don't know if
the
it has
voice
a name.
search or something.
Yeah,
Or whatever
that
accent.
sounds
I
right.
mean, that's the fun thing. I've got my Android set to British English. So sometimes actually I have to force the British accent for it to understand me.
So, will it not do German?
Yes, it does, but I don't know. I like my Android English.
All right. Unfortunately, I only speak one language and I only do that okay. So it's difficult for me to say which one I would opt for.
And Portuguese is the language, right?
Yes.
Well, and
are
also
we not speaking Portuguese right now?
And also, you seem to get updates earlier if you've got it set to English. Like my boyfriend has the same Nexus 4 on German, and the Google Now reminders showed up like 3 months after I had it.
That's
I don't
weird.
know. I don't know why.
Maybe the
feature was-
I-18N takes time, the localization. I don't
English
know.
master race.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're an air quotes American company. So I mean,
You don't need air quotes. Google is an American company.
yeah, but they have a pretty strong holding all over the world. I mean, they're an American company the way like IBM or Boeing is an American company. Like they're based here, I guess.
I mean, do they have any important offices everywhere else?
Their Irish office has honest to God people in it. Not,
Yep.
not like Apple's, which is like an outhouse with a mailbox in front of it.
Yeah, and I was in Germany, it's just here, so YouTube gets blocked. Other than that, it's kind of useless.
I think, don't they have offices in? They have offices in mainland Europe, though. They're not only in the UK.
Yeah. But they've got one in Hamburg, and as you said, you've got in Ireland. I think the Nexus shipped from Ireland when I bought it.
Yeah. Well, there's some kind of crazy tax shenanigans you can do if you're in Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is why Apple has an office there, but there's nobody. I mean, there's literally nobody there. If you look at the employee list, it has 0 employees. It's managed by someone who also manages branches in America and lives in America.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, it's a total joke, but it's not illegal. So
It's tax stuff. I mean, some of it is understandable. Just like you sold $1 billion in that country, and to bring it back to the U.S. means paying the U.S. a whole bunch of
Right.
money, and it's hard to be like, yeah, but you're an American company, deal with it. Or you're like, no, we
Yeah.
didn't sell this in the U.S. Why should we be taxed?
Right. And if
Again.
it stopped there, then I would say absolutely. but it doesn't, because they'll also do things where they're like, oh, well, technically this went out through our office in Ireland, so it counts as a sale in Ireland. And it's like, yeah, but it was bought by a guy in Michigan. So how is that not an American sale? And it's like, well, it's shipped from Ireland. What can I tell you? So I think there's a terrible name for that particular method of cheating taxes. It's called something like a double Dutch Irish sandwich.
It sounds like a nasty, like a Cleveland steamer or something.
Yeah, it's terrible. And the thing is, I want to Google it so I can put a link in the show notes, but if I'm off by even a single word, I'm going to get terrible results. So let's see, double Dutch Irish, no, okay. Double Dutch Irish sandwich apple is the very second result. Oh, thank God, it's the safe one.
It's not like a lemon party. Or
exactly. Yeah, so for anyone, if we have any listeners that are super interested in tax law,
do not search for lemon party.
Do not search for lemon party, or do, because you can be interested in multiple things. But there will be a link to the double Dutch Irish sandwich in the show notes. Because it's fascinating, but it's also like, it'll make you kind of hate companies that do this. Unless you're a libertarian, then you'll be like, damn right. We don't have to go off on a libertarian, right?
I know. I was just thinking of that 4chan screenshot.
Yeah, me too.
Fond memories of 4chan.
Yeah. Home Depot presents the police.
I put a dime into my car to start it.
So Matt, you had made fun. I was running late this morning to record, and I was on the train long enough to see you guys harangue me about the Vessel Cup. I'm not caught up on Colbert. What did he have to say about the Vessel?
I didn't actually watch it.
Really?
And I couldn't watch it.
You guys are killing me. Here I thought you were all prepared.
Luckily I could find it on YouTube, because for some reason even Comedy Central started blocking Germany. I mean, I used to be able to watch like Daily Show and South Park and Colbert Report on there, but
yeah. Can you do Hulu? Or does that?
No.
Do they still count that?
No. We don't even have Netflix. I mean, we've got alternatives, but I was always waiting for Netflix to come here.
So what do you watch while you're eating your McRib?
And no YouTube series.
You watch someone else eat a McRib while you eat one.
Yeah, I mean, no Netflix, no Hulu. I mean, I was able to cut cable because of Amazon streaming, Netflix, and Hulu. I would have to pay some terrible conglomerate for television service. It's awful. It just sounds awful. So we're gonna have to skip the Vessel thing. That's fine. But so I guess
thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. But so the last interesting topic we have, and this is I'm curious about how you guys feel about this. Google stopped requiring real names for Google Plus accounts.
I think it should have been that way from the start.
I agree.
Everybody thinks that way.
So do you think? So okay, we all agree that we're cool with pseudonyms and non-real names. Pseudo Michael. How do you think this is going to impact the Google Plus community?
I don't think it's going to make much. I mean, the people that did not want to use their real name are probably going to be happy.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to change the fortunes one way or the other.
Well, do you think it's going to like drag down the quality? Because that's what a lot of people are concerned about, right? Is you're a lot more confident commenting on someone's post with like poop, fart, and a link to 4chan.
Did YouTube get a lot more civil?
No.
No, not really.
When they had to be real names?
No, they did not. But there was also this huge legacy buildup of people with fake names.
Yeah. I don't think it'll make a big difference.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope
people
not.
are jerks on the internet.
Yeah, even with their name exposed.
Yeah.
So I mean,
even with the name and their face exposed.
That's true. So I mean, I think out of the three of us, I probably use Google Plus the most. And my feeling on any social network has always been, well, I don't follow people who are assholes. Like Twitter is an excellent example. I love Twitter, and there's lots and lots of stupid people on Twitter. I mean, way more than there are smart people. Because if you count like stupid robot accounts and stupid parody accounts, there's more fake and dumb accounts than there are just like normal, interesting people. So
but what about Wet Horse?
Yeah, what is up with that?
It just tickled me.
Were you like up late and drunk and
It
overtired,
wasn't that late.
but drunk.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. So for
It just keeps falling into buckets and ponds, and then it just says like, "I am a horse."
so this is
Now I have to link to it.
yeah. So we'll put a link to this in the show notes. But
Already
just
got it.
there's. I will sum this up briefly.
The latest one, drenched.
I'll sum this up briefly. There is a Twitter account called I Am a Wet Horse that all it tweets about is that he's wet or the awkward way in which he just became wet. And that's it.
A bucket of water fell on my head today. I'm not sure how, but it happened. I'm a horse.
Yeah. This is
what Twitter's all about. Multi-million-dollar company.
yeah. This is what we're doing with our world-changing information sharing technology.
We can start revolutions in Iran. We can just read about a wet horse on the field.
Sometimes it feels like I'll never be a dry horse.
I need to be clear. I disagree with you. This is not funny. I think this is funny because I can't get over that you think this is funny.
I went to drink some water, but ended up sticking my whole snout in the bucket. Now I have a wet horse face.
This is awful. This is the worst kind of nonsense.
There was one that I really loved. Something like, today was pretty dry until a raccoon sneezed on my leg. I love that you hate it.
Good. I'm glad that's bringing you more.
I'm going to
enjoyment.
retweet it even more. You're going to unfollow
But
me.
at least we've established that the Kuhl theory actually works with humor as well. That you find it funny because he finds it funny, not because you find it funny.
It's true. Yeah, this is it's a degree of separation. I'm enjoying it because you're enjoying it. I want you to do the dishes because you want to do the dishes.
Drenched.
Has he used any hashtags? Like hashtag drenched?
No.
No, damn it. I don't care about this. Stop making me.
You're asking questions.
I'm getting sucked in.
Stumbled on a walnut and fell snout first into a bucket of water.
It actually used the hashtag once on April 10th. Hooves crossed.
I am so wet. Parentheses. I'm a horse. Okay, we can stop this. This is basically the equivalent of my retweet fest last night.
Yeah, it is. I've fallen deep into
A pond.
No, we're done. I'm calling it.
All right. Where can people find you on the internet, David Lyons?
Oh, people can find me at hashtag I am a horse. No, it's at Lions in Beta on Twitter, lionsinbeta.com, plus David Lyons on Google Plus.
Damn you and your consistency.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And you know what? I will never retweet anything about a wet horse. So my Twitter stream is safe.
Never say never.
Yeah, no. I will do my best not to retweet anything about a wet horse.
Okay.
Where can people find you, Mike?
You can find me at pseudomichael.com. So you have to think about it every time.
You do have to think about
Which
it.
one am I saying first? Which one is it? M. Edwards Music. And also we kind of just, for some reason we're crazy. Now there is an official Flipping Tables Twitter account.
It's true.
And it's flipping_tables.
Yes.
Because there's some suspended account that had Flipping Tables.
Yeah, and I was all set to just do what will be at Flipping Tables Podcast, but it turns out there's a
You only
limit to
get,
how long
like-
a Twitter handle
Yeah.
can be. So I learned something.
And Matt, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Echolox, which is ECHOLOX, or on Google Plus / Matt Duncan.
You know, I've meant
Because
to.
I got that one instead of my
I've meant to ask
username.
you about your Twitter handle. What is what's the story with that? Is you can't possibly mean locks like and bagels.
I mean, you mean my name?
Yeah.
I was just some random word I came up with. It
Okay.
doesn't have any meaning.
There it is.
Yeah, so now that you know people will ask you about that occasionally, you can come up with a different, total, interesting lie every time. Since
Well,
there's
it's-
no real story.
It's like with XKCD, where he said that he tried to come up with a username that was like really random and couldn't mean anything, and nobody would be using it. And 10 years later, everybody using it.
Yep. Yeah, I think, what did he say? He wanted an unpronounceable word. Like it looks like he uses it like it's a word, but it's an acronym that can't be. Well, it doesn't stand for anything.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So it's like the
Yes.
Joker's scars. You want to know how I got my scars?
That's like the best part of that movie. They kept, because the first time I was like, oh man, they're going to reveal it. And then the second time when he tells a different story, I was like, I see what you did there. You clever man, Nolan.
All right, where can people find show notes?
People can find the show notes for which you really kind of need to get the most out of this episode. You can find the show notes for this episode at flippingtablespodcast.com/023 for episode 23.
Flipping tables is better with show notes.
It is. And today they were particularly relevant. There's
Relevant.
I did. Oh my God. I said relevant.
I'm a horse.
This day has just started out so strange. Can I just? It's 8:30 here in Denver. I'm thinking I'm gonna just go home and go to bed.
Okay.
And I don't mean at night. I mean in the morning. Like this day is completely fallen apart for me.
All right.
Good. So Matt, thank you very much for talking with us.
All right.
Yeah, this will. Yeah. Yep. This will
good.
have to happen again.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Well, maybe for Gamescom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so we're recording this early, but we're gonna release on time.
Yeah. So if anything we said is completely out of date, too bad.
Yeah, sorry. But then we'll be back on track. So as far as listeners are concerned, we were never off track.
Yeah. So I should just delete this.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
All right, we're done.